The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is the game of the year for 2023, if you don't count Baldur's Gate 3. The game was bound to be a huge success due to it being the direct sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This game takes the 2017 masterpiece and gives us 3 times more of it, for better or for worse. This is only my second full experience with the series. I put 100 hours into Breath of the Wild, but never completed it. I put in over 200 hours in this game, so I definitely enjoyed my time with it, and officially made it the first Zelda title that I ever completed. I do not have much room to criticize this game for the few flaws that I found in it, since I am definitely a brand new Zelda fan, but I will talk about this masterpiece of a game since I am a Nintendo fanboy, and this is a big win for Nintendo, regardless of not winning Game of the Year. I can play other games besides Mario. Sometimes. Tears of the Kingdom was conceived from the development team behind the DLC of Breath of the Wild, who had more ideas that they could not achieve in that game. It was first announced at E3 2019 with a teaser trailer that made everyone scream with delight. No one expected a tease this early on, but at the same time, Zelda games do tend to get this kind of teasing. Its predecessor was teased in 2013, 4 years before it was released. However, this was the sequel to Breath of the Wild, so most people, including myself, figured that it would take much longer to get a sequel to this title, but here we are. The game grew some hair on its chest with the E3 2021 trailer, where we got to see a whole lot of something. In September of 2022, we finally got a title reveal and a release date of May 12, 2023. In 2023, there were several trailers, showcases, and Treehouse Lives showcasing the game. The game made its May 2023 release just to lose Game of the Year to Baldur's Gate 3. The game received near-perfect ratings, with reviews praising the game for its open world and experimentation with its mechanics. The game sold 10 million copies in its first 3 days, and with it almost crossing 20 million copies by September 2023, it has become one of the best-selling games on the Nintendo Switch. Tears of the Kingdom takes place a few years after Breath of the Wild, I think, with Zelda and Link investigating a mysterious gloom underneath Hyrule Castle that is making everyone sick. They discover a mural depicting the beginning of Hyrule, which showcases the Imprisoning War, a war in which the Demon King came to take control over the kingdom and how the heroes of the time imprisoned him. They decide to go further into the cavern, and they find a corpse being held down by an arm. The arm falls down, and this is where I shit my pants. The corpse awakens and attacks Zelda and Link. Link tries to fight it, but the Master Sword shatters from striking the gloom. The gloom attacks prove too strong, severely injuring Link's arm in the process. The floor falls beneath them, and Zelda begins to fall. Link tries to catch her, but she disappears with a mysterious artifact, and Link is pulled up by the arm that was holding the corpse. Link is awakened by Rauru, a Zonai in the form of a spirit, who helps him traverse the Great Sky Island. Once Link gains all the knowledge from the Great Sky Island, Rauru leaves him with the quest to stop the Demon King. Diving off of the Great Sky Island to the Kingdom of Hyrule, this is where the game really hit me with how amazing this adventure would be. Link sets out to Hyrule Castle to get answers, but he finds Lookout Landing first. Pura explains that there are refugee areas like this all over the kingdom due to the chaos caused by the upheaval of Hyrule Castle. She tells him to go to the Rito, the Gorons, the Zora, and the Gerudo to investigate the phenomenons going on in their regions. Each area has their own problems that you get to the bottom of and defeat the bosses hidden inside the temples. Upon defeating each boss, you learn about the mysterious artifacts known as the Secret Stones, which grants powers to the protectors known as sages. You also see the sages' perspective of the Imprisoning War, which equates to the same scene over and over again. Once the regional phenomenons have been fully investigated, Pura sees Princess Zelda at Hyrule Castle and sets you on a quest to save her. Turns out that this is just a puppet of the Demon King. Girls these days, am I right, fellas? Phantom Ganon shows himself, and you and the boys take care of him with ease. Link finds the 5th Sage, Mineru, who you build a construct body for her to control and to help you out. With the Sage's help and finding all the Dragon Tears scattered across Hyrule, Link finds out what happened to Zelda. The mysterious artifact that Zelda was holding in the beginning was a secret stone, which traveled her to the past. King Rauru and Queen Sonia, the first monarchs of Hyrule, help Zelda and try to figure out a way to get her back to her time. Zelda tells them what happened to her and that she believes that it is connected to what is about to happen in their time. Later on, Ganondorf kills Queen Sonia and takes her secret stone and becomes the Demon King. The imprisoning war takes place and King Rauru sacrifices himself to seal away the Demon King. Later on, Zelda receives the Master Sword and she tells the sages to aid Link in the future. In order to get the Master Sword back to Link, she swallows the Secret Stone and transforms into the Light Dragon and protects the Master Sword for all eternity. Link rids the gloom within the Korok Forest, and the Great Deku Tree detects where the Master Sword is and tasks Link with retrieving the Master Sword. Link gets the Master Sword from the Light Dragon and goes to confront the Demon King underneath Hyrule Castle. The sages come to his aid, and together they defeat the armies of enemies the Demon King spawns. Later on, the Demon King spawns back the bosses. The sages distract them, allowing Link to confront the Demon King himself. The epic showdown begins with an incredible sword fight between Link and Ganondorf. This sword fight requires you to be proficient at dodges and flurry rushes to have any hopes of damaging Ganondorf. Even Ganondorf will perform dodges and flurry rushes to keep you on your toes. This makes the sword fight so dynamic, and most fans' favorite part of the game. Or you could take the 5-shot Lionel bow and just shoot him in the head a bunch. Look, I'm a fat ass, I can't help it. Once Link defeats the Demon King swallows his Secret Stone and transforms into the Demon Dragon, which they did not name the Dark Dragon for obvious reasons. The Light Dragon assists you in the final aerial battle, and Link destroys the Demon Dragon's Secret Stone with the Master Sword, sealing the darkness once and for all. Using all their power, King Rauru and Queen Sonia transform the Light Dragon back into Zelda, and Link gains his right arm back. Link reaches for Zelda, catches her, and they both fall to the ground and get to reunite. Later, on the Great Sky Island, Mineru says goodbye to Link, Zelda, and the sages, and the sages vow to defend the Kingdom of Hyrule. Tears of the Kingdom retains the open-world gameplay that made Breath of the Wild so beloved. You can explore the Kingdom of Hyrule, the various Sky Islands, and the depths below. Hyrule is designed slightly differently than from the first game, but I did enjoy going around Hyrule and seeing similarities between the two games. The Sky Islands are few and far between, and they are honestly very boring. Sure, there are some cool designs here and there, but overall the islands do not have that much to offer. The depths are absolutely terrifying to me, but the depths is the most amazing new area to explore in this game. It is completely dark at first, but you can go around and activate the light roots to brighten up the area. The light roots are connected to the shrines on the surface. They are in the same locations, and the names of the light roots in the depths are the same as the shrines on the surface, but flipped. This is so cool! Every enemy down here is covered in gloom, so they will deal gloom damage to you. The area is filled with all sorts of boss battles, including the ones that you did in the Regional Phenomena questline, and has coliseums where you can compete against gloom-covered Lynels to get awesome rewards. I am too scared to do this myself, but John eats Lynels for breakfast, so he had no problem going down there and just having fun in the coliseums. This area is the hidden gem of this game and makes the experience so much better. The game allows you to have the sages by your side as you run around Hyrule. You have Tulin, a young Rito archer who wants to save his people from the snowstorm raging above them. Yunobo, a Goron who wants to save his people from the marbled rock roast which corrupts the Gorons' minds. Sidon, the prince, later on the king of the Zora, who wants to save his people from the sludge contaminating their water. Riju, the chief of the Gerudo, who wants to save her people from the sandstorm which protects the Gibdos and their queen. Mineru, the Zonai from King Rauru's time, who wants to avenge the fallen people from the Demon King's wrath. Each of them have their own unique ability that you can use to help you out in various ways. Tulin can summon a gust of wind, Yunobo can rush in with a fiery blast, Sidon can wrap Link in a protective water bubble, Riju can summon lightning down whenever Link strikes an enemy, and Mineru will carry you and you can attach different Zonai devices to her construct. This is one of my favorite additions to this game. I love having the allies assist you in your adventure, just like Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. The gameplay is very similar to Breath of the Wild, but with some twists. Similar to the first game, you get 5 abilities to play around with. Ultra Hand allows you to move objects and attach them together to create all sorts of contraptions. Fuse allows you to forge weapons in interesting ways. You can fuse weapons together to make them more powerful, or you can fuse items to weapons to either make weapons stronger or to have different effects. You can even fuse items to arrows for the same reasons, which is so fun to do. Ascend allows you to go through ceilings to make climbing easier. You still have to climb in this game, which can be a pain in the ass at times, but if you find a spot where you can use Ascend, then happiness will ensue. Recall allows you to turn back time on an object. This is most useful to get back up to the Sky Islands from a giant piece of the islands falling down from the sky. Auto Build is the ability you get later on after making some progress in a specific quest line, which saves your builds that you made with Ultra Hand, and allows you to rebuild those builds either using materials that you are near or by using the new material Zonite to magically make the materials appear. The Zonite devices allow you to build and create all sorts of contraptions to make your adventure that much more exciting. I am a very lazy person, so I created very little in this game, but it was still satisfying to see everything come together and to make it all work. There are tons of people who have created all sorts of contraptions and vehicles that are very impressive. It reminds me of using redstone in Minecraft to create all sorts of different inventions, and I absolutely love that the developers took the time to add the Zonite devices into the game. They stated that it was difficult to balance this and make sure that the players could not break the game with the limitless possibilities of the Zonite devices, but I appreciate that they took the time to allow the players to use their creativity in this game. Gloom is found all over Hyrule and in the depths, in which coming in contact with it takes out your hearts. Thankfully, you can restore these hearts by being in the light, either from the surface or from the light roots found all over the depths. You can also restore these hearts with recipes that have gloom restoring effects. There are also recipes that provide gloom resistance, which gives you temporary hearts that take the beating first before your hearts get affected. This game brings back dungeons to the series, and they are designed in a more relaxed way. The dungeons have plenty of Zonite devices laying around to allow players to use them in creative ways to traverse the dungeons. I love that each dungeon has its own unique feel and visuals. They feel distinct from one another, unlike the divine beasts from Breath of the Wild. You can come and go to the dungeons as you please, and you can do them in any order. Each boss fight is challenging, but so fun to take on. The traditional storytelling experience is also brought back into this game, although it is slightly clunky. Breath of the Wild had a very simple story, but it flowed better this way with the open world aesthetic rather than Tears of the Kingdom's story that truly benefits from being in a more structured game that has you go in a specific path. The story is good in this game, but it would have been great in a more traditional Zelda experience. Shrines and those pesky Koroks make a return in this game. Shrines have a puzzle or task for you to complete and reward you with a light of blessing for completing them. Gain 4 lights of blessings, and you can pray to a goddess statue for heart containers or stamina vessels. Sadly, you cannot have both max hearts and max stamina. You have to choose one or the other, which is really dumb, but whatever. I chose max stamina, and I just used potions and meals that gave me bonus hearts. You can take Korok seeds to Hetsu to upgrade your inventory to be able to hold more weapons, bows, and shields. You can cook up all sorts of meals and potions to restore your health and to give you different effects. Tears of the Kingdom introduces a cookbook system, which allows you to look back and see what you created so you can make it again with ease. The UI also got an update, which makes navigation better and a design that I favor over Breath of the Wild. However, some of the UI is a bit clunky, especially whenever you want to fuse an item to an arrow and it forces you to go through your entire inventory in this tiny UI space. So I guess this is why the game did not get Game of the Year. Tears of the Kingdom was one hell of a contender for Game of the Year. It was ambitious for expanding on what Breath of the Wild did, and the fans and critics were blown away with how seamless the game turned out to be. The most universal complaints were about the frame rate drops in specific areas, which I also experienced as well, but it was not present consistently throughout the game. The game truly pushes the Switch to its limit and shows the console's age just a little bit. The open world concept is truly spectacular, and the developers thanked The Elder Scrolls Skyrim and Red Dead Redemption 2 for inspiring them with the open world and physics that they used in this game. The developers were inspired by Wii Sports Resort whenever designing Hyrule for this game, using new mechanics in a similar designed area. The developers could also capture the magic that The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword wanted to accomplish with its designs and mechanics with its sky, but could not achieve on the Nintendo Wii. This is also the first Nintendo game of this generation to cost $70, but that did not stop sales at all, being the fastest selling Zelda title ever, and maybe even boosting Japan's GDP this year, which is awesome. I am so happy that I completed Tears of the Kingdom and found a new respect for the Legend of Zelda series. This game is my favorite game that came out this year due to how much joy I had playing it. This game takes Breath of the Wild and truly expands on the core concepts that game set up, with bringing back the story and dungeons of the past Zelda games and integrating them with the open world gameplay and the mechanics that Breath of the Wild introduced to the series. This makes Tears of the Kingdom a true masterpiece. This game might not have won Game of the Year this year, but The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a game that I will always cherish, and one that Nintendo fans from around the world will all say is an incredible game forever. But seriously, why did Baldur's Gate 3 win instead of Tears of the Kingdom? Well, Baldur's Gate 3 is an RPG, so maybe Zelda just needs to go into the RPG experience. I've got it! Zelda 2, The Legend of Link! Nintendo, get on this!